Welcome everyone. We'll get started in just a minute. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the International School of Panama. We will start our town hall in just a couple minutes. We're waiting for everybody to join. While you're joining, if you would prefer to hear this presentation at the same time in Spanish, just click the bottom of the screen. You'll see the word interpretation in a globe. Just click on that and select Spanish, and you will be able to listen to this presentation live in Spanish. All right, I think we will go ahead and get started. So again, welcome to the International School of Panama. We're so excited to have you here today and to welcome you back to school next week. I can't believe it's here already. This meeting today, we are recording this and we will be pushing out this information tomorrow for anybody that did not get to listen to this today. In the meantime, if you are on here and want to listen to this in Spanish, at the bottom of your screen, there is an interpretation option, and just click there and click on Spanish, and you will be able to listen in Spanish. At the end of the presentation, we'll have a Q&A, and what I would ask you to do is click on the Q&A button, and you can type in any questions you have during the presentation. You can type them in English or Spanish, and we will be responding to them either during the presentation. We'll answer live and type in an answer, or we'll take them at the end, and speak more verbosely about them. So just wanted you to be aware of those two things. Again, welcome. So Bill, if you'll go to the next page. So thank you. First of all, last year, our families did a great job of complying with our International School of Panama pledge. As a result of everyone's vigilance, we had zero, I repeat, on-campus student transmissions last year. Our biosecurity protocols and practices worked, and we hope that it will continue that tremendous success going forward. And even more excitingly, our community vaccination numbers are on the rise. Let's look at those on the next slide. Presently, 95% of our faculty and staff are fully vaccinated. And we just had parents complete a survey, and we had a very large turnout in our survey response rate. So 66% of our families, they gave us answers, and this is what they told us. Already 83% of all of our parents are fully vaccinated. And then of those, and then in addition to those, another 14% of the parents are just waiting on their second dose. So we'll be able to add that to the list. So our population is highly vaccinated. In addition to that, our students have been able to receive vaccinations as well in the population of ages 12 and older. And right now, 65% of our students that are eligible for vaccination have been vaccinated, and that represents 60% of our high school and middle school population. This is all information that we intentionally gathered to share with the Minister of Education, just to be clear that we really are in a very safe spot. Next slide, please. So just kind of talking about where we came from and where we're going. We're the first school to have students back on campus in Panama. That happened back on March 8th. Then on April 14th, we had a second wave. More students came back to campus than the first wave. And we're so excited to have more people on campus. Maduka gave us the coveted Safe School certification on April 28th, which, and that certification allows us to be open for this year and going forward. Our faculty and staff pretty much finished up their vaccination doses in May. And at the end of May, we were able to extend our hours to a full day so we could practice for this year. And we received our official approval for the semi-presential hybrid model on August 5th. So we are fully authorized to operate every day with students on campus as of August the 5th. So and then the next steps are the trickier ones. We do have a letter into the minister to Maduka, and we've asked them to allow us to reduce the meter distance to 1 meter so that we can have all students back on campus every day. And we are expecting to hear back soon. But until then, we still can't have everyone back. There's just not enough room on campus. And that's why we have the 2-day model where the kids come 2 days a week and then 1 day every other week for half a day. But as soon as we have permission, we will have everyone, we're ready to go and flip that switch. But today we're talking about this model, the semi-presential hybrid model. Next slide, please. Alita, would you like to talk to us about Maduka's non-traditionals?
For sure. Thank you, Audrey. So as Audrey was saying, we were able to keep our students and staff safe in the campus because we were following the biosecurity measures stipulated by Maduka. These are still non-negotiables for Maduka. We will have to keep our social distance. We will have to continue the procedures for hand washing. We will have to check the temperature of the students as they go on the buses or arrive at school. We need to keep a separate nurse area for suspected cases, and face masks will be required for the entire time that they're at school. Thank you very much. I think Janet is our next presenter.
Oh, it's back to me again.
Oh, it's back to me.
So I'm sure you're all wondering, what is it going to look like this year? Well, it's not going to look the same as last year. Last year, because we had so many students at home, we opted to keep the bulk of our learning to teaching kids at home and using on campus as an optional time where you could have connection and be with other people, but the main learning remained online. This year, we're going to a full blended model, and this looks a little different based on each division. And so I'm going to, when it's time, Joyce is going to explain exactly what that's going to look like in the elementary school. So just hold tight. But so the next slide, I am going to talk to you about our schedule. First of all, for now this is only true while we're in this semi-presential model. The minute we go back to school with all students on campus every day, we will return to our 7:30 a.m. start. But until then, while we're still doing this hybrid, we're going to continue like we did last year with an 8 a.m. start for all students. Then the pre-K 3 and 4 children will be dismissed at 12:30. Alita will talk a little bit more about the pre-K 4. We need to break them in with the masks. And then once they're used to it, then we'll be able to extend that day to a 2:30 dismissal, just once they get used to it. She'll talk more about that. And then all the other students leave every day at 2:30. And then Fridays, every other Friday, we will have classes from 8 to 11:30 for students, while the staff participate in professional development in the afternoon. The way we're splitting it is alphabetically by last name, and please do not contact our secretaries and ask if you could switch days. Right now, that is not possible. But A through K, you will come on Mondays and Wednesdays. L through Z, you will come on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then every other Friday, like I said, you'll switch. This first week of school next week, though, is going to be strange. That we're starting with a strange schedule. We're going to have full days on both Thursday and Friday. We will not have an early release on Friday for that first Friday. And we're starting with L through Z will be the first day of school on August 5th. And then A through K will be on Friday for a full day of school. So please make those notes. Again, we will send this out to you in writing and in this recorded video form. Next slide, please. I also have to remind you that you cannot, I repeat, you cannot send your child to campus at all in person if you have not signed the pledge. That needs to be signed and returned to the appropriate administrative assistant. And really, the deadline was earlier this month, I think July 2nd. So technically, any parents have not sent in their pledge should not plan on starting on Thursday or Friday. However, if you get them in immediately, please send them immediately or just email them if you don't have a copy of it. They will get it to you, but we really need to know to be able to properly prepare for the number of kids that we're going to have each day. So please get that done. It's very important. Next slide, please. And with that said, I'm going to have Janet, who is in charge of our, Janet Nicolau, she's in charge of our safeguarding committee, talk to you about what we're doing to continue to make sure our kids are safe. Janet.
Thanks, Audrey, much appreciated. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope that you enjoyed the summer and were able to recharge. And as we prepare to go back to school, something we want to make sure we keep doing is making sure safety is a priority. And biosecurity measures will continue to take place. We want all of our students, staff, and faculty to be as safe as possible. And we will continue using our Swiss cheese model for COVID-19 prevention. As you see here, we still have all of those posters across campus, and we will require, like Lita mentioned, face masks. We will practice social distancing. We have our ventilation systems with filters, and we open windows regularly. Hand washing will continue to be a priority across campus every day, and our maintenance and facility staff is ready to continue with our cleaning and disinfecting. And the deep cleaning will happen now on Saturdays, as we did for the last couple of weeks of classes. So if may have the next slide, please. Thank you. To share with you a little bit of how we ended the year and for transparency with our community, we wanted to show you some numbers. We have been very rigorous into keeping track, and we want to thank the community for keeping us informed of the positive cases that have had happen in our community, both students, staff, and faculty. And we started looking at our traceability when we had students first on campus. So these are numbers as of March 8th towards all the way through July 25th. And if you were in a classroom where that classroom was quarantined for a case, or if you received an email, it's because we want to make sure we keep our community informed. And we've had very good results. We only have one suspicion of a case of on-campus transmission, and it's not confirmed that it happened on campus, and this was for staff. But we want to make sure that we keep it there for transparency, and it can be there 50-50. But overall, we want to thank our families and our community for keeping us informed the moment you knew about something, and for helping us and our nurses to keep our regulations and our plans on track. May have the next slide, please. Thank you. Now moving on to a little bit of logistics. Now looking ahead to next week. So for transportation, make sure to check our website. All of the information is there. Temperature check will continue to happen before boarding. We're going to have our recommended transportation providers here on campus. We're going to retrain all of our monitors to make sure everyone is aligned on what they need to do to make sure that temperature is checked correctly and recorded in a log that we have to make sure everyone, when we get to campus, is still safe. We're going to have mandatory use of face masks and face shields to comply with regulations. And we're going to continue the daily sanitations on our school bus. Because we still have to be very careful with traceability, we continue to have no switching or flexible busing. PK will depart again at 12:30, Monday to Friday. And again, we invite you to check our website if you need any more information. May I have the next slide, please? And now on lunches. As you know, we're in the process of renovating our cafeteria. We are still within construction. So for the foreseeable time, please bring your lunches. The students will bring their own lunch. In the meantime, there's no microwave. Please bring your cutlery. And this is mostly because of biosecurity. We don't want to be handing out anything yet until the cafeteria is ready. Remember to pass for extra mask, and all of our water fountains are now contactless for bottles. So make sure you bring your bottled water to fill your water bottle. So we have there that ES for this group. ES will eat in the same places of their snack. We're also looking at additional places where they can have their lunch in a safe and distance manner. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll pass it over to Alida to share with us a little bit about PK. Thank you.
Hello again. So just two little things about preschool. First, I think most families, returning and new families, should have received a letter explaining our first 2 days of school. On Thursday, August 5th, and thinking about the emotional well-being of our students, we want to invite small groups of families to come and visit their kids' classroom, so they know how to get to their class, which one is their teacher, and they can start the year in a very protective and a nice way. And then on Friday, we will have everybody back. For Thursday, each of your kids' teachers will be sending an invitation next Monday, and you will know who is their teacher and the time that you can come visit. And as Audrey said, we have several reasons why we are going to start the PK schedule until 12:30. The first thing is, like I keep saying, the well-being of our students and their social emotional feelings is our main concern. So even as we extended the time last year, we saw that the use of a mask for 4.5 hours for a little one was very tiresome. They were very tired by 12:30. So we want to start getting them used to, again, using the mask. They're going to have to adapt to new routines. And the other thing is that this will also allow them for the first few weeks to just go home, have lunch, rest at home, and then have Spanish at home. And one of the advantages that we saw of the online learning last year was that they could recognize their faces online. And so Spanish will provide that opportunity for our students to see their classmates and their teachers online. And the other thing is that, as Audrey said, we are being guided by MEDUCA regulations that we need to follow. And as of now, we are extending our schedule at the max time that we can. So we are truly looking forward to seeing everybody next Thursday on a very safely way and here at school. Thank you. And now I think it's Joyce time.
It's me. We'll move to the next slide there. Thank you. Thanks, Alida. Thanks, Audrey and Janet as well. So I must say to those families that are returning, it is just wonderful. I cannot tell you how exciting and invigorating it is to be with our new staff on campus this week. This is something that I, being new to ISP last year, did not get to do in person. And we you know, both Dan and I, Dan, who's been here for quite some time, and myself in my second year, as well as our new assistant principal, Sybil, we just looked at the new staff today and we said, never can any of us recall a time in our history where we have seen such a committed group of adults that just bring so much to conversation and are so eager to learn and so excited to have your students in their classroom. So we are thrilled to welcome students back next Thursday and Friday for their first day on campus. And with that said, you know, as we move into this year, and like Dr. Menard mentioned, things will look a little different in terms of connectivity. We're really refocusing on that. Relationships are key. And I have to admit, and all parents that I met with at the end of last year can agree with this, that it was pretty phenomenal in nearly every single case how well our teachers did know their students and what those relationships looked like last year, considering they were not back on campus until March 8th in some capacity. And some students, you know, we're not on campus for a variety of reasons all year. So, but that is just a non-negotiable among all of ISP. This is not just an elementary school piece, but just that relationship, the critical component of relationships, staff to students, students to students, and just our larger community. We are really focused on how we're going to meet the needs of all three groups. We have students who are on campus, students who are off campus just that day, and then we have students who are entirely virtual. So we really have all three of those groups of students in mind as we are working through our blended learning curricular design. Our on-campus time is focused on collaboration and communication. And so that's the piece that will look a little bit different. Not that we weren't collaborating and communicating last year, but we worked really hard in those 3 months of in-person support to provide the same exact thing for kids at school and at home, because we had so many that were not able to be on campus for a variety of reasons. This year, we're getting back to that core of ISP instruction where we have deep level inquiry, thinking, collaboration, and engagement happening when they're in the classroom. But don't you worry, we're going to talk about how we'll make sure those things are happening while they're at home as well. We are committed to, as always, that on-campus and off-campus work is meaningful, aligned, and focused on depth over breadth. Right? So depth of learning is critical in all that we do. We're not going to give them a lot of busy work just to have them busy. We want them thinking deeply about their learning. Each grade level will develop a model that best fits the needs of their students, including frequency of check-in. So I know that that is one of the most common questions right now is, on the days my student is at home, what will their check-ins look like? That will be very dependent by grade, but we assure you they will have as much opportunity to touch base with a staff member as they need to make sure that their learning is happening. And as has already been mentioned, we just want to reiterate once again that family pledge has to be in. So if it's not, please send it right this second while you're listening to me, because those class lists are being finalized Friday and going public on Monday. So we can go to the next slide. And as we're moving to that, let me just reiterate that Monday is our official date for finalized classes. You will be getting an email Monday afternoon by about 3 o'clock from your child's teacher, and that will be welcoming them to that classroom. So Monday, 3 o'clock is our time for launching those class lists for the 21-22 school year. So within this blended learning model, I'm going to go through a couple different ways this could look, but this is the big picture piece. And again, we are talking about 5-year-olds to 11-year-olds in most cases. We may go anywhere from 4 to 12 in terms of our age range between kindergarten through 5th grade. So we certainly have to adjust per grade level. So please hear me loud and clear on that, right? That we will make this cater to each individual grade level. So some of these things are going to be broad and general with that in mind, that we cannot approach this year for 5-year-olds like we would with 11-year-olds. But across the board in all of our grades, our in-person days will be engaging collaborative group work. It will include our small group discussions. It will include that teacher feedback, whether that's in a one-to-one session or a small group instruction. We have iPads. I'm going to talk about iPads at the end of my time here, but every student is going to be getting an iPad next week, brand new, catered to their grade level. That is there to complement and enhance instruction. We are not giving all students a brand new iPad to plug into a Google Meet with their teacher in the classroom and to stream in with kids who are not there. So they are really here to, well, like I said, I'll talk about it later, but we are going to take design thinking to the next level in our youngest learners. Every person on an in-person day will get 40 minutes of in-person Spanish and 40 minutes of a specials. So we've worked really, really hard to make sure that that is a priority in our scheduling, particularly since our students had, until the very end of the school year last year, which was such a treat, they didn't have live PE music. I'm actually in the music room right now. They didn't have live PE music, art, or drama until the very end of the school year. So that will be a priority. They will have in-person every day that they are here. They will get that in a 40-minute block. They'll also have opportunities to check out libraries. We have integrated STEM units coming this year. So each grade level has a STEM unit tied to their science unit. So they'll get in our brand new STEM lab that is being finalized as I share this with you today. We've got a world-renowned state-of-the-art STEM lab being put into our elementary school right now. At home days, this is the part we're going to have to wrap our heads around, but as different as it may sound, there's actually a lot of components that are very similar to last year. We will still be using Seesaw and Google Classroom. So every student is going to have all their work for the week put on Seesaw or Google Classroom. The difference is it might be by week instead of individual day, because students won't necessarily be logging in into the same capacity when they're at school. But all of those assignments, and the thing that we really think we will continue to do once we're even back full time, this is a commitment we have made, that it is so beneficial to students to have all of their learning in one place, so that when a student is absent, we're still going to have to deal with exposures and quarantines even when we're back full time. So having all of our assignments and our learning in this digital platform allows for us to really get used to that. And in the end, though teachers have to front load it and prepare a lot for that, there is a level of time saved, because when a student is absent, they can go back and maybe watch that video or find those assignments. And that doesn't take up teacher time when they return. Not that the teacher doesn't want to spend time with them, because of course they do. So these become playlists of learning opportunities. I'm going to talk about playlists in a minute. We have a whole group classroom meeting. Our teachers really felt strongly that morning check-in with everybody was important. And our new teachers asked about this today, and they also feel strongly about that. So we will continue certainly in our upper grades. Our younger grades did do that in 2 class meetings, and may continue to do that just because of attentiveness of students when they're on the computer screen. But we do want that daily check-in at 8 o'clock. Currently that is slated for 8 to 8:20 every morning. So that would be the one time that students on campus are being they're being streamed to students at home. But that's our one opportunity for a whole class to be together. And then we will have regular check-ins throughout the day. I'm going to just show a couple examples and a couple models, but we can't give a sample day that is similar between kindergarten and 5th grade. But I'll show you a couple models and where these check-ins could happen. Those may happen with the teacher. They may happen with the learning assistant. As all of you know who have been ISP parents for quite a while, we have a learning assistant per classroom in kindergarten and 1st, and then they're shared between classrooms in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So what we might find is like a math check-in time. So if a student has watched a video and begun engaging in a new math concept in a 3rd grade classroom, we might have a learning assistant that then has office hours for both of those classrooms that they serve at the same time, for those students who want to come and collaborate and dig a little deeper or have any questions about that math assignment. We really are eager to dig deeply into some project-based learning opportunities, some of these inquiry-based learning opportunities that we can do, so we can make sure that kids have a strong sense of what they are to be researching and doing on their own, and then on their time when they are not on campus, they can dig deeply into that. Again, this varies greatly by grade. Have you heard me say that a few times yet? And then we always want to maintain flexibility to accommodate family needs. I know I had a number of family meetings, particularly with kindergarten and first grade families at the end of last year, that just that being tied to the computer and setting alarms and always having to, okay, well, we were doing this, but now we got to get back for this next small group. We want to be really flexible about that. We want to make sure a lot of the core pieces that need teacher guidance are happening on campus. And so we can allow students independence within the level of check-in that they need when they're at home, but recognize that families, may need some flexibility on those days. So let's look at a few of these models. We'll go to the next slide, please. So as I mentioned, Seesaw and Google Classroom will remain our platforms. Seesaw in kindergarten through second. Google Classroom doesn't have the same ease of use with our iPads, but it is still what we know. So we feel that it's really important for this year as we transition into an Apple school around innovation, that we keep this piece for the time being as our platform, because our oh, excuse me, that should be 3rd through 5th grade. That was my error. I'm sorry. I'm just seeing that right now. 3rd through 5th grade is Google Classroom. So we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. So here are some of our models, and I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about each. So we're going to look at a flipped classroom. That's where some of the work might be done at home, and then you come into in person or online, and then you go offline again. So we go from at home to in person to at home again. And some of those are offline and some of those are online. No matter what we do, we will be having playlists. So again, I'll talk about playlists in more detail in just a moment, and then station rotation. So let's go to the next slide and I'll talk through that flipped classroom model. Just to give credit where credit is due, ISP is working in conjunction with Catlin Tucker, and Katie Novak is actually another professional who specializes in universal design for learning. But Catlin Tucker is an expert in the blended learning field. We adopted a lot of her practices last year, but have gone as far as to contract with her for professional development for our staff. So a lot of these graphics and things are taken directly from her and from the professional development book that we are all working through together as a staff. So a flipped classroom, I feel like I've been talking for a long time, so hope you guys are bearing with me, because this is the core of actually how things may look. A flipped classroom is where we have an offline activity. So again, students would have a playlist, they'd have an order of things. A first or second grader would log on to Seesaw, and the things that they need to get done that day are there. And some of those things are designed to pique interest, drive inquiry, or access prior knowledge. So a way for us to reshape our thinking with flipped classroom is that we think that when a student comes to school, the teacher is going to give 20-minute direct instruction about how to multiply fractions, right, in 4th grade. And then the students are going to work on that independently and ask some questions, and the teacher may interrupt and kind of reshape their thinking if he or she sees there's a lot of questions, and then students may do a little homework at home. Well, what this is doing is saying, let's maximize teachers' time. Like, let's have the students watch a video on their off day. Let's have them watch a video of their teacher. The teachers will make the videos just like we have in the past. Watch that video, begin to get an idea, right? Okay, what does multiplying fractions actually mean or look like? How do we do that? Play with some manipulatives that have been provided during their on-campus day. Do a Zern math activity that complements that teacher video, and really begin to think. And then the next day, come on campus, and now the teacher can answer those questions. So the 20-minute teacher time didn't need to be delivering that in person, but the teacher can really then help engage, right? So now, number 2, now we're engaging. We've got an, oh, sorry, that's still at the online piece. So they may have checked in, that Zern piece would be that engagement. And then offline, when the student's on campus, there's an application activity designed to encourage collaboration and social learning. So the students here, and now they're collaborating, and now they definitely have math manipulatives in front of them. They're having discussions because multiplying fractions is really complicated, and it's hard to wrap our heads around without visuals. So now they're really thinking deeply about it, and the teacher is guiding that process when they're on campus. So that flipped classroom is one of the things we'll be using often, and is actually very similar to much of what we did last year, in the sense that students were watching videos and then they would come to a small group where there was some level of discussion. It's just that for a lot of last year, those small groups still took place online, and now they'll be able to happen in person. So let's go to our next one, our next slide. Which I believe is our playlist. And so the math, world language arts, that gives a big picture, but I want to look at this, the gray playlist on the side. So again, this is very similar to what we had. Students logged in, and in Seesaw or Google Classroom, they saw their activities for the day. We will be shaping things more in terms of a week, sometimes even 2 weeks, because students all have the same amount of in-person time at the end of a 2-week period, in terms of they will all had 4 full days and 1 half day in person at the end of 2 weeks. So as we look at curricular design in a circular fashion, what are all the things students need to learn in a given subject? They will have these playlists where there's on-demand instruction, like I just mentioned. Those might be video recordings of their teachers, it might be Zern lessons, it might be Words Their Way, it might be accessing something through our EPIC library to read the same books. They'll do some research and exploration. They may create, a concept mapped as one example. The teacher may put in a Google form that is a formative assessment. They're going to have those regular daily check-ins, as many times as we determine is necessary per grade level. And there may be an online discussion led by a learning assistant or a teacher with just the students that are at home that day. And all these things will take place. So there'll always be that playlist. I view the playlist, and a lot of our teachers were trained in playlists last year, as very similar to what we had in place. It's just that there will be a more direct link because to what is happening in the classroom, because students are at school, home, and in a big circular fashion there. So let's go to our last one. And station rotation model is one that we love. And I was ready to, I was so gung-ho on station rotation model last year, and we just weren't. It's just a little tricky. And now we are savvy. Our teachers are savvy at this work, and the ones that were at ISP with us last year have gotten so good at this preparation in terms of filming themselves and pushing out creative assignments for kids while they're at home, coupled with a lot of new staff. We have a number of new staff who've already been through these models in various schools, who've already done full hybrid models. So we're really excited about the station rotation model. And so that's where you'll have a teacher and a learning assistant and a whole class of students. Some are at home and some are at school, and you've got a teacher-led station. So this is where they may be doing some level of targeted instruction if we see that they did not quite grasp the concept through an at-home video. They're going to model a process. They're going to reteach and scaffold any Q&A. Like, this is the time kids need to be with teachers, right? To really dig deeply into their learning. They're going to get feedback in real time. Like, a teacher is going to watch them try and solve a problem or read a passage and really give them immediate feedback. And then there'll be formative assessment. So some of that is teacher jargon, but I think most of you as parents can understand what those pieces entail. And then there'll be an offline station. So that's where, whether the student's in a classroom or at home, they may engage in a makerspace or PBL. They may do a pair practice between different pieces of writing. There could be a discussion, collaborative problem solving. This would be where our STEM integration units happen, art projects. So all these different opportunities. And then there'll also be an online piece where they have personalized practice. They have collaborative work. They have they could research and explore. They could design and create. They could reflect. So to give an example, let's use an example of a 90-minute block. Our instructional blocks are actually 80 minutes, but I'm just going to use 90 for the sake of a 30-minute rotation. All students in the class, whether home or in person, could have 30 minutes with the teacher, 30 minutes independently working in an offline station with some level of support from a learning assistant. And certainly there peers in collaboration, and 30 minutes in an online station, which again could be any of our online platforms such as Words Their Way, Epic, Zern. But all of them would have the exact same learning objectives. So this is something that we foresee using a fair amount, particularly, well, at all grade levels, I should say. I was going to say particularly upper grades, but at our lower grades where we have learning assistants available to really help facilitate those offline sessions, I think they could be really, really powerful. So those are 3 of the blended learning models that we plan to use with real fidelity in the elementary school. We think that they will give a real depth of learning to our already really robust curriculum areas. We did do, we can go to the next slide, but I'm not sure if I have one more in there or not. Oh yeah, our iPad rollout. So one sec, I'll get there. We went through really extensively at the end of last year our curriculum, because there had been modifications that had been done back in March of 2020 and then again last year. So what were the most important things? And so we have really clear curricular outlines. So that's what I just spent the last hour and a half reviewing with the new staff is, okay, here's our expectations, and we will not, like, this is what our kids will get through, and we're excited about that. We will look back at our MAP data from last year as well. MAP does a really nice job of letting us see where we have strengths and where we may have some gaps after the last year of learning, and really picking up those pieces and making sure that, you know, if there was a gap in 2nd grade, that 3rd grade hits on that hard this year. So our last thing is our iPad rollout that I already mentioned. They're getting a personalized iPad. Our tech team has been working all summer to make sure every single student, when they log on, everything they need for their grade level. So I can't see your faces, but I hope you are all listening and clapping. This means there's not multiple logins and passwords for every different site. They will log on to their personalized device and it will have everything they need. So we are super excited about our iPads from an innovation and design thinking standpoint in terms of where students can go as they begin to really think creatively with them. But we're also very excited from a practical standpoint of log on and there's everything you need. As we all know, after the last year and a half, that has been no small feat, logins and passwords. So we're really excited about that opportunity. And this will probably come up in questions, so let me just state it up front. They will get it on their first day. So for Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, students who do not come until Friday, August 6th, they will get it Friday, but on August 5th, we'd love for them to still be logged in somewhere. So they will have an opportunity to log in. That will be shared with them in their welcome letter on Monday, but they will get their personal device on Friday. So everybody will have it by the end of next week. And whew, that was a lot from me. I hope you were able to stay attentive to the pieces that were relevant for you and your family. And again, we are so excited to see students next week.
Thank you, Joyce, and thank you everybody for coming and listening to our elementary school town hall. I'm happy to announce that we're going to have athletics for elementary school this next school year. My name is Fernando Archila, and I'm going to be the next athletic director. Some of you, if you were here in ISP before, you may know me. I was a PE teacher in the elementary school. So good news, we're going to have a sports in elementary. Last year, we couldn't offer different athletics possibilities for elementary school, but we tried to do it with middle school and high school with success. And based on that success, now we're extending the program for elementary due to the needs of our students to be active, to be healthy, and to continue to develop their motor skills and their sport-specific skills. So can we move on to the next slide, please? I just want to talk a little bit first before entering into what our program looks like. You can see in that slide the different categories that we have in our program, from kindergarten all the way through 12, and the different sports that we offer. These are not all available for elementary school due to time and space, but we are going to offer some of them. We can see it in our next slide. Before talking about these softwares and about the registration links and the key dates and all of the rest of the processes, I just want to ensure that we all are on the same line and we all embrace the same philosophy. In ISP, we believe that athletics is an opportunity for developing not only sport-specific skills, but also their overall health, mentally health, physical health, and at the same time, enduring lessons that are going to help them achieve and overcome challenges in all of their daily life situations. So let's get into the specific details that are going to help you and your children to participate in athletics this year. So we have key dates to remember. First, we're going to open a registration link for all of you to sign up from July 30th to August the 6th. It's really important to use this form for you to see the different options for your children and also the times and the schedules that are going to be available. That registration form is going to close on August the 6th at 4 p.m. and we're going to send that registration link through email. That registration link, it's crucial. I have to say it one more time, because that's going to be the formal registration. After we have all of that information, we're going to send a confirmation email to those of you who sign up for the practices and for the different sports. The first day of practice will be the next week, starting on August the 9th or August the 10th, depending on the cohort. And we're going to talk about a little bit about the schedule as well. Because we have different cohorts and we need to follow and comply with MEDUCA and NISA regulations, the practices and the schedules will be based on the cohort that you're in. For example, if you're in the A to L cohort, practices will be Mondays and Wednesdays. And if you're from K to Z, practices will be Tuesdays and Thursdays. In elementary school, there will be only one sport and in one category under 12 in soccer that is going to be open since the previous Friday for Friday 6th due to some competitions that are going to be held in August, and we need to select the team that is going to be representing ISP. So just to recap, practice days will be based on the cohorts and practice times will be from 2:45 to 4 p.m. Mondays and Wednesdays, and again from 2:45 p.m. and 4 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays based on the cohort. Can we go to the next slide, please? Next slide, please. Yeah, the previous one. All right, so we have, just to talk a little bit about the different sports that we're offering for each of the grade levels. For kindergarten, we have soccer and tennis. For grade 1, soccer and tennis again. And from grade 3 to grade 5, basketball, soccer, tennis, and track, and swimming. So one of the next slides is going to give you all of the details regarding the last slide. Please, I think that is Janet. The slide that is before the after school activities. Next one. No, it's not available. All right, don't worry. So we have kindergarten, soccer and tennis, grade 1, soccer and tennis, grades 3 to 5, basketball, soccer, tennis, track, and swimming. Due to over-enrollment, we will need to have a lottery in case that we have over-enrollment, and that lottery will be held after the registration. That's in order to know the amount of students that are going to be in each practices. But we first have to go to the registration, and after we have those numbers, we will see if we will have that lottery. It's important to emphasize that we're going to follow all of the biosecurity measures. That means that our coaches are going to be really strict about following the 2-meter social distances rules. Students must bring their own approved mask, not with bulbs, and wear throughout the practices. During water breaks, for example, students athletes would distance themselves by more than 2 meters, and they're also going to reapply their mask immediately after drinking. Coaches will also have some spare surgical masks to give to the students just if they need them in any emergency, and a minimum and maximum number of students and athletes will be in the same space. We are going to try to have the drills and exercises with no physical contact at all, especially for individual sports. That's going to be easy, but for team sports, we're going to try to encourage our students to keep their distance, and we're going to maintain always all of our areas clean, and we're going to clean the equipment before and after the practices. After we finish this session, I'm open to answer all the questions that you may have, but for now, I'm going to pass it over to our school after school activities team.
Monique. Thanks, Fernando. Appreciate it. So I'm going to cover after school activities quickly because I want to leave time for questions as well. And you will get a copy of this presentation and recording for you to review afterwards. So it may have the next slide. So we're very happy that we are now going to be able to have after school activities on campus. And we're going to have a range of varieties, as you can see on your screen, from language to dance to MasterChef to doing a lot of art and robotics. So this will complement your curricula. This will complement all of the activities and learning that all of your children are doing on campus. The part I want to focus on today on the next slide would be dates. So be in the lookout for an email that's going to come out on this Saturday for the registration window. So we're going to have a registration window from this Saturday, July 31st to Friday, August 24th. The after-school activities are on our website. You can go ahead and review. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to our after-school coordinator, Johan Hernandez, and he'll be able to answer any questions that you have. So again, be on the lookout for registration notifications Friday, and the registration window will be from this Saturday, July 31st to August 24th. And with that, I'll pass it over to Devin for our update on VAPA. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Devin Hibbard. I'm the new VAPA coordinator, and I will also be the high school drama teacher, just in case your children have siblings. Our goal this year is to bring back performances right now with limited capacity. We are currently planning on an all-school musical in the winter or season in February, which will give us a little bit more time to see how things unfold. We will be following all MINISA and Meduca rules and regulations. I don't have a school show yet. We're not ready to announce that. But once we do, it'll be on the VAPA events page. It'll be on the Instagram, and we will make sure it gets out in the Dolphin Dispatch with all information. But I did just want to announce that we are planning on doing a show, and we're also planning on introducing a couple of smaller events in the coming months to lead up to hopefully an all-school musical, as long as things go in the direction they're going. If you have any questions, my email is dhibbard. It's there in the presentation. You'll get that. You can reach out to me with any questions or concerns. Ideally, we will have all age groups available for this all-school musical, and we'll do rehearsals that follow all the guidelines. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. I know we're tight on time, so I don't want to take up too much time. And with that, I'll pass it on.
Thank you, Devin, much appreciated, and thank you to the team. So I am going to look at some of the questions. Thanks, everyone. If you have any questions, please feel free to put it right in our Q&A. We're answering some as we go. And in case there's anything pending, we'll send answers as well when we share our recording. So we have a few questions about uniforms. Joyce or Alita, if you can share about what students should wear on their first day. They can wear their pod shirt, even if they don't have PE, and what should they wear for PK orientation?
Yeah, I'll take the elementary one. We were pretty flexible with uniforms last year, simply because we recognized that it was a lot to buy. Kids grow so much, right? So it was a lot to buy for just 2.5, 3 months. But now that we are on campus for the full year, we will go back to our regular uniform policy. So that would be that they're the navy blue ISP sport shorts and their dolphin shirt for PE days with black laced up tennis shoes on PE. And then we do black shoes every day. And so then we'd go back to the skirt or the pants or the shorts and their polo shirt for the non-days. And those are the blue and white plaid skirts or the navy blue, like kind of more slack pants. And Galapagos has all of that and all of those. So we recognize in particular, like our new staff is going through this too. So we recognize that there's some turnaround there. So we are more than happy to be flexible in these first few weeks for new families that are just getting everything ordered. If you are here for our welcome Saturday, if you are a new family that will be here on Saturday, you will have that opportunity on Saturday. Our uniform store will be present, so you can get orders done. Alita, I don't know if you have something in addition for pre-K.
No, just for the visit to the classrooms on Thursday. For sure, lots of times our kids are excited to wear the uniforms, and for sure they're more than welcome to wear the uniform, but play clothes will do fine too. So it's flexible. It's just a visit to know classes and teachers and for them to feel comfortable the first day of school. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce and Alita, appreciate it. We have a few questions as well about the pledge. If you had signed the pledge last year, you don't need to complete a second one. The pledge to come to school is you only do that once. If you've already done it, you don't need to do it again. If you have not signed the pledge, we do urge you, if you want your child to come to classes on campus, to do that and send that to Aisha. We have a couple of questions about traveling in quarantine, so I'll take that. So for quarantine, if you have travel, we follow the CDC guidelines and of course any Panama regulations depending on the country where you're coming from. Currently, the CDC guidelines state that if you are vaccinated, they recommend that you stay at home or where you are for at least 3 days, 3 to 5 days, just in case you show symptoms. If you have not been vaccinated, the recommendation is that you stay quarantined for 5 to 7 days and take a test at that time, just to discard any risk of COVID infection. So right now we are continuing to follow per pledge the CDC guidelines and any regulations for Panama specifically, depending on the country where you're coming from. We have a few questions about athletics. And so, Fernando, if the students are not coming to campus, can they sign up for athletics?
Yes, if your children are not coming to campus any day, they can still sign up for athletics and come to practices based on their cohort. That's one question. The other question is that, yes, soccer and tennis is open from kindergarten through 5th grade, including 2nd grade. Another question was related to the days that the swimming team is training or is going to train. That again is based on the cohort. All of the schedules, all of the practices will be based on the cohort. We're aligned with the academic part. So if you are in the first cohort, you're going to be from Mondays and Wednesdays. And if you're in the cohort number 2, from K to C, you're going to practice Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Thank you, Fernando. And so I think we have time for one more question. So there's a question about, is it mandatory to send your child to school? Right now, we're following the Meduca regulations. It is not mandatory for your child to come to school. However, we feel that your child will get a lot of the experience after being a year away to come to school and be able to enjoy seeing classmates within the biosecurity protocols and measures and get the most out of what we are offering. ISP will still continue to offer options of learning at home, as Joyce and Alita have shared. But again, it is not mandatory for you to send your child to school. We encourage it. We've seen a lot of happy faces from the little ones as they are in school and enjoying time with their teachers and their classmates. And so with that, I'll pass it over to Audrey for some closing words, and we will share this with everyone and the recording. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry we didn't have time to get through all the questions, but in the next Dolphin Dispatch, or the first Dolphin Dispatch, We will seek to answer these, as well as you are free to reach out to your principals, and they're happy to answer any questions that you have. We are so excited to have students back. And I really reiterate what Janet just said. We really would expect to see all children back at school, and only the ones that need to stay home for particular reasons that the families have determined. We really want to see everybody back on campus. However, those that cannot come and do not come, we will be providing creative ways of including them in the classroom. We'll assign them to a class period where kids are online. I mean, the kids are coming to campus, so they'll have a different experience on those days as they participate with the kids on campus, and then a different experience, at home that'll look more similar to everybody else. But we will be differentiating for those students. Thank you again. Reach out with questions that we didn't answer, and we will get all of this out to you tomorrow, the recordings and the answers. So thanks. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.